side, and we will see if they can have the same electric performance they did when they kicked off against Sprout.
Also want to highlight that Tabson, who had a very slow start to Inferno, actually finished top of the scoreboard with 24 kills alongside some Die Young. Very impressive work, but we'll see on the CT side if Dexter, that guy stepping in for Patsy. Many were scratching their heads, especially after that result, as to why he wasn't starting on Inferno. He can now show us exactly what he's got in store. He was nothing short of impeccable yesterday, Tom, and I'm hoping we see that same kind of level of performance once he gets the AWPs in his hands.
I believe he got over 90 kills within the 3 maps that were actually played. Couple of overtimes in there, but it doesn't take away the fact that he was unreal. Now, this is the danger man for me, at least on this map. When Mir is playing well, he pretty much dominates outside. He's got a lot of information, but Dexter, he's already gone. Some Young, he's got those Julies, but they've managed to make it down the vent anyway, and they might not even need to go in that direction. But look at the CTs. There's 2 players ready and waiting here. This is actually a very good read. They did this previously with Chopper, but Magix has rotated in to support them. Sure, it's not a perfect start, but this is actually workable.
Magic's 1-on-3, but gets splattered by Zentares. And I agree. I think the fast rotation was a great read, but they needed some Die Young to just get 1 kill. Just 1 kill would have made it so much easier to deal with all those threats that were just swarming into the site. It's this death here. He saw 2 players pushing. It was a great flash by Tabson, but he did see 2 players vent dive, and he had a chance with the dual Berettas. That death at the cost of nothing in return for Big was so catastrophic for Spirit. They do go in for a force. They've got a scout outside. Good smokes have already been put into place, and Big looking to bypass all of this as they push down Secret.
I think they're already in a position worse than when they faced off against Sprout, because one of the things that happened is they never really struggled with economy. So there was no like, oh, can we get the AWP for Dexter in this round? Like, will we have rifles in these certain positions? They always had money to battle with. So it will be interesting to see how Spirit sort of work without everything. Although I say that, you never know. They might be about to get the reverse sweep. We know what they could do with these pistols. A fantastic start from Magix as well as Mir. And with some Young still with a Mag 7 and even an HE available for Chopper, it's not impossible.
They do have Zentares to contend with, but Magix has just taken the head off of Keto. Zentares down to 8 HP. Tizian with just the Galil in his hands, and Magix goes in for another one, partially through the smoke. I think there was a slight gap in that smoke, and affords him the luxury of dropping the bomb down. Tizian has to try and clutch with 35 seconds. First drop onto Magix, but now needs to go back in for more. So while he's swinging towards the site, hasn't checked the vent, and there's Chopper with the pistol. The 5-7 comes good, and Spirit instantly bounced back.
Well, I guess ignore all the stuff I said about economy. Magix is here to play. He's got himself a couple of kills with that Deeg. And as said, like, one of the things that we saw yesterday was he just had a rough day. And I'm glad that they haven't had any of the stuff where they said, where it's like, oh yeah, we're going to rotate people off performance basis, because to have this man not on Nuke, I would be very disappointed. The same for the previous map as well. Like, he was one of the major reasons that they were able to do so well on that T side. I think they're definitely going to need him here today. Of course, on the other side of things, there's going to be a similar investment. And Mir playing slightly closer to his teammates. Some Young again is going to be opting for a shotgun. I will say a lot of the time, I feel like if there's a member of this team on Nuke that I'm going to be pressuring, I'm going for Some Young. I don't want to go near Magix, Dexter, Mir. Like, they're probably not going to be easy to pick off. Whereas Some Young, I don't know how good I realistically think he is around that hut area.
He was a weaker link yesterday. There's no mistake in Mia showing why he's one of those players you want to look out for. Let's take a dink down to 9 HP. And there's Dexter, M4 in hand, spraying down onto Tabson. And it looks like they have bypassed any potential hurdles of this force buy and take the lead. And they'll be up against a fully ecoed Big. So this is a great opportunity to build up that confidence.
Yeah, for sure. This is the best economic start they could have as well. You might be thinking, well, you know, if they just win the pistol, it's never really going to be as good, because the pain that you put onto your opponents, the free weaponry you get to retrieve, and then you get the same amount of bonus rounds at the same time. It just leaves you normally in a pretty ridiculous spot. Now, thankfully, they're not going to be buying up that AWP just yet. And it means if they don't lose a single player here, Oh, I was going to say there's not going to be an AWP, but I almost wonder if Dexter might have just fallen intentionally.
Yeah, it definitely could be the case because he knows they're up against AKs. He wants that AWP as soon as possible. He is very much a top-heavy player with the AWP. Not that he can't do anything with the rifles, of course he can, but the second he gets that AWP in his hands, you know that something special is going to happen. Bit surprised that he hasn't actually bought fully with nades. He still had 1700, could have got a HE, could have got an incendiary, decides against both. But not the end of the world. Searson with the opposition up, taking it down towards ramp and hoping that maybe Spirit get a little bit too aggressive. But we know that Magic's, for the most part, is a pretty passive ramp player. I don't think he really likes to push too often unless he has some support.
Yeah, he's almost like the Rock on this team. Like, you don't really need him to go aggressive because everybody else is probably going to be doing that instead. It always feels weird when talking about this matchup that we've almost highlighted Dexter so much and not actually talked that much about Searson, but it's almost like Searson's so good, again, you don't really need to mention his ability. But on this map in particular, we'll see how he actually fares, especially on the T side, what he's going to be able to get done for the squad. Because there are a few AWPers that can almost like battle AWP on this map outside, but it's definitely easier said than done, and more so to see how big will set him up. Now, the smoke's outside delayed, but when you look at the rest of the players, it does seem like they're going to be pressuring onto Magic's. A nade will deny them, at least for the moment. And he's still got a little bit of utility, but it is only a single flashbang. But look at the rotation that's coming. Dexter's going to be here to support him, but he actually goes down without a fight. Great work from Magic's to at least keep things open. But the fact is, Zontaras has done enough to get them onto the site.
Yeah, two so vitally important entry frags affords them safe passage down to the B side. And now Spirit with a fair chunk of utility, Incendiary and a few flashbangs will all be clumped together. It's going to be one-dimensional on this retake, and Zontaras can play up close. Everyone pretty healthy on Big 2. Still have a flashbang. They can pop that into ramp and go for the wide swing. May not be required. Trajectory of that nade lets them know there's at least another player there, and now they find out all three came down ramp, and that will be their final resting place. Big pivot off that Zontaras. Beautiful double entry, and now Spirit in trouble again.
You have to look at this moment as well, because Dexter, he's almost completely caught out. Zontaras actually has the bomb. So if he goes down there, that's bomb dropped on ramp. I would almost say that's a round over. That's Spirit with it done. The second it gets into the afterplant, though, that's where I think we both sort of highlighted we're a little bit less comfortable with how Spirit are in these sort of retakes. Like, well, you mentioned there was only 3 successful ones. One of those was a chopper 1v2, which I think we both agreed at the time he shouldn't have won. Yeah. Now comes the faster plays, and this is what I wanted to see more of. Some Young, a man after my own heart, is going to pull out the XM and get a double. Still, his teammate falls, but Mir is ready and waiting, and Zontaras, well, he may have been phenomenal so far, but 34 HP, he decides it's better to fall back.
Let's Searson maybe try and get a pick before Zontaras shows his hand, but Searson has gone down, and so will Zontaras. We won't have a repeat performance. This time, Spirit hold on to their advantages. They do make the most of it, but I feel like we have to go back to a similar narrative that we kind of spun over on Inferno, where you look at statistics, and typically Big just have a far superior CT side to their T side. They won their CT half against EG earlier in the tournament, 11-4. So both teams seem pretty top heavy when it comes to their CT side. And already we're seeing that Big can get down secret. They can at least mix it up and can pressure Spirit a little bit more than Sprout did.
Yeah, I think the only thing that will get Spirit through the T side, if they don't get, say, 10 plus rounds, it's just going to be somebody popping off beyond belief. And like, they do definitely have the caliber of players to do that, but we didn't witness that versus Sprout. Now this time it's going to be a bit more of a shooting gallery for Dexter. And I think the feet have been spotted, the footsteps have been heard. It does look like they make their way down to the lower bomb site. Magic's is there to meet them. And actually, that's a good read from Mir. He's going to deny Tizzy and getting the backstab and make things a little bit tougher holding off those rotations. Now, there is a temptation. Oh, I like this from Searson. The moneymaker. Can he get himself an extra kill? Can he stop the rotations? And in fact, Keto getting it. There we go. Oh, he's unlucky. I don't know how that doesn't count as a kill, because normally that counts as a backstab. But, well, the smirking Young will get away with it.
chopped him down to size, but couldn't quite finish him off. However, that was ultimately an eco half-buy situation across for Big. They're now going to have more of a purchase coming in. They call a tactical timeout just to get on the same page. You can see a couple of them are down to a little bit more awkward economic situation, like Xantares. He can afford an AK and Kevlar, but only at the expense likely of one smoke. Could go for 2 flashes. Tabson's in a similar kind of boat as well. But I'd expect that they will go for a buy here, Tom. They're a bit late on this purchase. There we go. Keto's picked up an AK.
Is that going to be a hero weapon? Interesting.
This is very perplexing.
They had the money to go in for the AKs, but
yeah.
I wonder if that's just deciding they want the extra utility, or more so they want to get the orb. But yeah, interesting that they've gone for this. Of course, they do still have Keto with the opportunity to do some damage. 4 players as well, including him, have Kevlar, so he can just juggle that around if he gets tagged a little bit. And they're just going to opt to try and do damage to their opponent's economy instead. I think probably realizing the same as us that they don't really need to be looking for like 8, 9, 10 rounds over on this T side to win this out. They can definitely make it work in the second half. And I like almost the fact that they are just going, okay, let's focus on us getting rounds rather than trying to risk it a little bit with some weaker purchases and coming out potentially on the back foot.
I gotta say, I respect it as well because it shows the confidence of Big. As you say, like they feel like they don't have to rush into anything, even though they're 5-2 behind, even though they know this is just going to stack that economy back up for the CTs if they are unsuccessful. Tons of utility. Just the entire site is enveloped by liquid fire, and now they're looking to push behind that 1-for-1 trade. But now the smokes, the flashes, the mollies are starting to dissipate. So are the lives of Big. They get cut down. Searson, actually not even on the site. He went off towards ramp to try and rotate around the back and was hoping that maybe if they'd gone for like a 2v2, he could have wrapped into heaven and lurked out from that area. With everyone going down though, last man standing, not for much longer. So I do like the confidence. I like the effort. And again, there's more aggression than we saw from Sprout. But ultimately, Spirit, they're withstanding all of this pressure.
Yeah, and now we have to look at it from this round. Okay, you've waited for this round. Win it. Like, that's where the pressure comes down to. This can't just be like another round where things continue to go in Spirit's favor because you've actively not gone for extra purchases to make sure that you have everything in this round. Dexter as well, someone who takes a much wider angle. Like, this is angles in CS at least, or in professional level, that you don't necessarily see fought massively because it has risks. Mir though, they should know that those plays are coming. I'll be honest, Vince, like, you watch a couple of Mir's demos and you know he's going to try and fight you right up close, and they were not prepared. 2 kills goes at the trade of 1. Tabson has managed to gain some ground, however, but it seems like they're more than aware of the potential of Mini being open. Look at where the bomb is as well. Even though they're getting these kills, the bomb is still trapped outside, so he hasn't taken this with him. So someone else on the team is going to have to go on a retrieval mission, and you do have to worry that if one of the players outside pushes up a little bit too far, they might have complete control of this round.
Oh, Dexter on top of the garage. Not an angle you're expecting him to use too often, but Tizian will show his hand at the cost of Sun Young's life. Pop flashing himself outside. Love that flash, but Dexter's not really affected at that range with the AWP. They waited, they bided their time, and they stumbled, they've tripped, and they fell. And now they're going to have to call another timeout. And it is off the back of Mia. It's a play that we both highlighted as being one of the integral pieces of this best of 3. And so far, he's been excellent, as he was last time as well. It was the Mia and Dexter show against Sprout. And Mia hasn't slowed down even remotely since then.
I think the thing I'm noticing about Dexter, he seems like the guy in life that takes like loads of sort of risks and just gets away with it. And then there's a lot of people on the other side that are being careful, like holding tight angles, and they're the ones that get punished. Because note the last 2 kills he gets. One of them, he jumps up on the top to see over the boxes. Such an open angle. He misses a shot. He's dead. The next one, he wide peeks out from red and is stood completely in the open. Again, he misses that one shot. He is dead. The difference with Dexter is he doesn't miss.
And that's an important part of the formula, isn't it? If you take the risks, you have to make sure you make them count. Young and Mia both getting themselves in amongst it. He has missed a couple times, but fortunately he has big brother Mia there to lend him a helping hand and just to shield away any of that aggression. It was effectively just pistols, So not going to get too carried away for Spirit, and Searson could be getting a bomb plant, which is not too bad. You know, builds up the economy a little bit. Their round loss bonus is accruing anyway. That flash is going to affect Searson, but still smacks off the head of Some Die Young. But it is the same result, Tom. And Spirit, I've got to say, over the duration of this tournament, it's why I said at the end of Inferno, they can still hold their heads high. This is still a new roster. They're going through changes. I have been so very surprised, and pleasantly so, at how well these guys have been playing together, all things considered. You're playing against one of the best teams on the planet, and they're holding their own and actually making big work for each and every inch of the map.
Yeah, for sure. I think they said that they made these changes because they want to try and like challenge to be the #1 team in the world. Considering this is the first tournament we've seen them at with this roster, I'm not going to be surprised if they manage to make that move sometime in the future. Like, they have looked really good. Now, it's definitely early days. They haven't come up against, like... Someday it doesn't even budge! That bullet, did it just not make it far enough? Or is he just like, try it again? Try it again. I'm loving this boost, though, from Searson, but the unfortunate fact is they've gone for this beautiful little triple boost to get them a dirty angle into the site, and then one of their teammates has gone down instead.
Just the ultimate alpha move, right? Like, try that again. I'll just stand here. And it did cost them. That's the problem. When you go for these triple boosts, it's the same on maps like Overpass. You do bypass a lot of map control as a result of that. And I understand why Big have gone for it, because they've been just thwarted at every given turn outside. So that really does put them on the back foot. And Spirit, I mean, they're looking good to get a bare minimum of 10 rounds on this half. Tabson, though, just carves a path, but Mia behind him, forever mixing up his angles. Mr. Unpredictable. Magix has dropped the bomb down in ramp. 2 players to fend off against him. Just needs to stall. Another kill is fine. This last player, seriously, is being flanked from lobby. Whether he pushes into ramp or whether he stays in position, he's likely a dead man regardless. This would be Spirit making some categorical mistakes and errors. 15 seconds. The only thing that's really going in Searson's favor is he has control of the bomb. So if he can somehow wiggle his way up towards heaven and drop down onto A, maybe there's a way through to save this round yet, but he's about to be pushed on from a player on the A side. That's going to be Chopper. Even if he successfully gets the bomb down, he's gone anyway, and they do deny the bomb plant. 9-2 Spirit.
I feel like Some Die Young's like death there was like some sort of like final destination. Like, he was meant to die here, and because he didn't, he then gets absolutely wrecked by Tabson when he peeks back out of heaven. It's like, no, you were meant to die, and now the curse has come back to bite you. But yeah, I'm actually a little bit confused as to, like, because it looked like he went for the headshot, right? But you're using an AWP, so did he need to?
I wonder if on that boost, it's like this one of those weird sort of bug things where maybe there's a wall there, but it doesn't look like there is. So because it was multiple walls, potentially, he has to go for the headshot for the outright frag rather than the body shot that would typically be a kill. Do you know what I mean? I wonder if that factored into it a little bit.
Curious. It didn't work anyway, but I suppose Some Die Young did eventually die. 9-2 though. Spirit continue what is an impressive showing, and while one of the main places they've tried to push has been ramp, and Magix again been very good in these sort of positions. On Taurus though, a perfect pop flash will take down the opposition AWPer and leave a 3v2. Tizian has also managed to sneak his way down to the lower bomb site. Now, there is a player here in the form of Chopper. The door's open. This could be a free kill. Chopper's not going to be expecting it. They might actually be able to make this one work.
Bare minimum, you're expecting a bomb plant, but Some Die Young has slowly moved his way down vents. That could catch them off guard. They may not expect players to be here this early. But Some Die Young is waiting for his teammate to get up close. He's waiting for Mia. 45 HP left. These post-plant positions are looking good. Both in spots, off angles. Tizian can look towards the window. Has just heard that crack open. Molly up and over. That's designated towards the shadow area. Not sure it actually landed. I think it exploded in midair, so it didn't really affect him at all. It went towards ramp, pardon me. So it didn't really matter regardless. Tizian's got himself one frag. There wasn't time, and Zentares puts a bullet in the head of Some Die Young. Another point to raise as well, Tom, and you kind of touched on this before, that last time Tabson played, he dropped an absolute huge performance on this map of 31 frags. He's not quite had that layer of impact this time around, and I do wonder if if he is having a little bit of an off game here on Nuke, and no one steps up, will they have that massive CT half that maybe we expect?
It's first half Tabson. First half Tabson.
True, the same thing happened on Inferno, didn't it?
You got to wait for second. Yeah, second half Tabson's the one you want to look out for.
He saves the best
Who
for
knows?
last, though.
Yeah, of course, of course. That's how I eat my dinner, and it's the same for Tabson. you don't want to be left with your peas, do you? Like, who's that? I'm sure there's going to be someone like, oh, peas are actually my... I don't care. We're going to get back into the round. It's a 4 versus 4. A trade either side. See, first half Tabson's gone down, but second half Tabson is getting ready, getting warmed up, stretching those fingers. Actually, it looks like they're going to try and burst into this A site. There are a couple of players ready and waiting. Dexter's rotation actually goes back towards the ramp. Amir is going to look outside and probably find absolutely nothing unless someone's going to try and just run across. Again, they've gone for this two-man setup, and it's been working quite well. Last round, it had a little bit of an issue with Zontaris just popping a couple of heads, but that is what Zontaris does best. And now they're actually going to opt to rotate back again, leaving Chopper with a lot to do. Spot the man go down the vent, and that will leave a rotation going back towards the B side, but the remainder of the players are still waiting to hit A.
30 seconds. Mia, 17 kills. Not even reached the halfway point yet. Could be more. The Chopper's fallen. The back of the site. Magix will follow. He was looking down. Mia has a chance. He has a chance to pivot in, but Searson shuts him down before he can get more than one. Dexter at least puts it down into a 1-on-2. With his up, will make this a costly one for Big. But he'll have half an eye to clutch this round and make it his. No smoke could be a problem. He can't smoke on one of these angles or maybe even try and force one of these players out. No kit either, but there is one on the floor, which is now going to get picked up momentarily. Was in the hands of Chopper beforehand, but now it's down to the open. Searson stuck in hut. The bomb is ticking away ever so quickly. Dexter needs to tickle the bomb. He needs to get Searson out into the open. He needs to shut him down, but Searson on the approach doesn't miss, and Big get their first round in what will feel like forever.
For someone like of such a player who sort of burst onto the scene, I guess you could say, Dexter just seems to have an incredible read on this situation. Like, even though he doesn't win the clutch, he knew where Searson would be. He knew there'd be a player up top and manages to get the pick wrapping around from behind. Like, he genuinely just seems to have a mind for Counter-Strike. Truly enjoyable to watch, but his counterpart in Searson matches him this time. And Tizian again. He's done this quite a few times, managing to get down the vent. They've tried to deny him, but it hasn't really gone too well. They've set up Dexter, however. He's going to match up seemingly against his counterparts. They do look to go for the boost, but he's flexed up in time. Zontaris can't trade, and Dexter just looks to put down the pain, but this time he is caught.
Does get caught, but at great cost to Big. Said, I feel like their first round in forever. I meant their first A round in forever, because typically it's been B-centered, which it is again now. Last time they were successful. Tizian could have them both. They line up. It's only a max 7 for some Die Young. He's got to try and bridge the gap, but because Tizian was already low, he does get finished off by the shotgun. Keto, 1-on-2, knows where some Die Young is, but it's all about Mia's presence. That is the question mark looming overhead. They have an incendiary. Their shadow position is tailor-made for these kind of spots. They smoke down. Here comes the nades on top of Keto. There's nothing he can do, and Spirit do pick up 10.
Yeah, solid retake from them, but again, no surprise to see who's going to be the highlight. A great control of ramp, a switch up this time, a more aggressive stance. And that, I've mentioned it before, I mention it again. This is my clear difference between Idis Balance and Dexter, is that there are rounds where Chopper can literally just go, Dexter, go kill him on the ramp. And he will. He'll just dominate. Like that was both Searson and Zontaris that just didn't seem to be able to do anything, even though they tried boost angles, like setting up other players. Oh, here we go again. Are we going to have the triple boost over the top? Taking a little bit of time. Keto's got to get into position. Now, last time, Young was completely unaware of this. This time, there's no one there. Disappointed.
Yeah, that is going to sting. And the thing is, you'd think, why don't they just stay there? Because it costs them 3 players. It means you can't really have impact outside. You can't watch ramp and lobby simultaneously. It does leave you very vulnerable. You know, you got that window of opportunity, and once it passes, you have to be able to bite that and say, right, it didn't work out for us. We just have to get on with the job. If they can pick up 5 rounds, again, we touched on before, their CT side typically is rock solid. So I definitely think Big is still in with a shout similar to that Inferno performance. It does feel like a little bit of deja vu. Spirit, in the meanwhile, though, will be hungry to take an 11th, and you have a couple players down to low utility and only an MP9 for Chopper. But already, so much time has elapsed, and we haven't really seen a great deal of confrontation, Tom. Big have got to get a move on.
This is what they did on Inferno, though. It was the late round takes that it seemed like Spirit really struggled with. And again, they're going to go back to basics and try and just hit straight into A. I think it will be more likely one of the more successful opportunities, but look at the setup. An AWP waiting from Dexter. He's watching, but he misses the shot, and re-peeking it would be a huge risk. Luckily for him, he doesn't have to. His teammates have held the line and left Keto as the only man remaining. He's got 6 seconds, and Dexter's just too quick on the flick. Again, it's a phenomenal first half from Team Spirit. The question is, can they close it this time? Big were throwing an awful lot at them. They had their boosts, they had their aggressive plays, they had their pushes towards the ramp, but it seemed like they really couldn't pull off too much, Vince. The thing that worries me, though, is we're in that same spot again. Can Team Spirit close this out, or are we going to be watching another big comeback? Heh.
Yeah, we have seen this before, but Dexter, P250, takes off the head of Keto. And the thing is, even though Spirit did struggle, there's no two ways about Sprout. If they pick up the pistol, this is a giant leap towards a third map. And taking the first kill down is going to just add that pressure. Tabson, 13 on 12 last time. He's 6 and 14. He may have a great second half, but is he given the opportunity to? Tizian dips in with a pretty big headshot, and Tabson survives, gives the call that some players are on main side. He needs some help, but his aim is off. He hasn't been punished with his life, and now Xantares is going to show his hand with the USP. Bomb gets dropped down. Tabson finally falls, but now Xantares, who's up on the catwalk, can start to rip through more heads. Magix is next up to the plate, and next up gets dissolved away. But they use this opportunity to actually vent dive. And Sundai Young does have the bomb, but Mi is doing it all alone. He's an absolute beast right now with 21 frags, and he could add another one because Tizian is so low, but they double peek him. It's down to Sundai Young.
He's got the right idea as well. The drop comes in, the first kills for free, and he spots out Xantares. The kit has been retrieved, so there's actually plenty of time, and this is the man you'd want in these sort of situations. Sundai Young just trying to find the peak, but he can't do anything. He's always up for those headshots every single time, and it'll be the man from Turkey to take them through with another round.
Full house of frags. Xantares with 3, Tizian with 2. And considering they lost the first player basically for free outside with Dexter just P250ing the head clean off, that's such a good recovery. An important lifeline maybe slips away. I know it sounds like a weird thing to say when a team is leading by 11-5, but Tom and I have seen Spirit get a lot of fast leads and they suddenly dwindle down. And in some cases, they do concede. So Big are right back into this match, make no mistake.
I almost look at this and I'm thinking to myself, like, Mir has to get 30 plus kills for them to win this game. Like, that's genuinely what I think it has to be. Because, like, he is someone who I think could take over on the T side as well. And they have actually invested into this round. Don't really blame them. They got a decent amount of kills alongside it. But it either has to be him getting 30 or, like, somebody else stepping up massively. Like, maybe Magic's coming back as he did on the T side of Inferno. Because this big CT side is really tough to break down. And sure, in this round, the weaponry's kind of questionable. Maybe they'll just go for what they did previously and get themselves a second round victory. And that might be a good start off to this second half. We know that Spirit can do it. They've done it many a time in this tournament.
They can, but they're going to have to do it with a weakened Mia who only has a deagle by his side. Dexter pushing outside with the scout. Mollies have been tossed in. 40 seconds to play with, and Spirit, They haven't got a huge amount of real estate available to them. They're going to try and pivot down ramp where Tabson's now waiting with his M4. First spray is good on the weakened Mia, and it's a cleanup. He's joined by Xantares. It's that 1-2 punch again of Tabson and Xantares that so often is the KO blow for most teams that go up against Big. With 20 seconds, Dexter, he gets spotted, he gets fragged by Searson Scout through the wall as well for good measure. And Big, well, they hold on to all 5 guns.
Yeah, that is a superb round. Like, normally we talk about these sort of second round buys off a bomb plant for a team just being irritating because it almost seems like a sort of harsh response coming in with an almost better buy than what we see from the CT side. But they handled that masterfully. They made it look very, very easy. It was almost like the Glocks had come in instead. And well, now they do. It's going to be some Deagles. We do know what Spirit can do with the Deagles. I will say, throughout this series so far, oh no, I was going to say we haven't seen a Team Spirit round yet, but you know what? I might just shut up. Oh, no, end the duel, please. He actually gets the kill still and is alive for way too long. This is an ugly round.
It really is. And again, this should be an eco-building round. They've already lost 2, and Chopper and Some Young remain. Sure, Chopper has a Glock, but Some Young has the Deeg. So they could still put a couple kills down range. Plus, there's so much time left, and with Big only having 3 players left, maybe they can find that time window opportunity and push behind one of the CTs, potentially even pressure a bomb plant, which, considering they came into this with basically nothing, would be a massive success on the side of Spirit. Now, Big, of course, should still take this round, but it's all about damage control, limiting the economic strain they put on themselves for round 19.
They've utilized a lot of the clock, and it now gets to a point where it's going to be rough. Like, unless Keto basically gets absolutely nothing, I don't see a way that they manage to win this round. Like, if they can kill him somehow, steal the gun, maybe there's an opportunity. I also wonder how aggressive he's going to be with this retake. Like, is he going to try and deny them? Oh, he might do now. He's heard the bomb drop down. That makes things quite a bit easier for him. It will be 3 kills in the end for Keto. A bit of a slower start, but again, like, we have to talk about the fact they're now going on to that CT side. I expect a lot of the players to step up, and unfortunately, although there's a couple of kills, it's not going to be anything more than that for the T's.
But here come the AKs. No AWP available. They didn't really have the finances to afford one. So Dexter will have his AK like everyone else, lining up for the outside smokes. And Tabson playing aggressive this round. Grenade is decent, just chips away at Mia. Outside is typically his playground. He is going to consistently push out here through these smokes. You can see all the utility that's been put in. So many smokes. 3 or 4 of them in total have been tossed in already. They only have 1 left in the hands of Mia. And Chopper's gone down to the hands of Tabson. But it does afford Mia safe passage into garage. And now everything works off him. If he can get round heaven towards lockers and get a pick or 2, that could be good enough for his team to still battle back into this round. But he needs the rest of his team to survive long enough. This flank is only as good as the pieces that he can play with afterwards. And Searson should be going down here, gets headshotted out, but now they know exactly where he is. And this is where if he had a full team to play behind, it would be so devastating for Big. But they should be able to lock this down. They're going to try and swipe in on towards ramp, but they didn't check their close angle, and that is the outcome. Tabson with a double, and Xantares cleans it up.
That's the thing about those 2 players when they're around the ramp. Even when there seems to be someone behind them, they just manage to get so much work done. And Tabson, it's almost like a lot of the time, rather than a rotational AWPer, they just have a rotational star. Like, he is doing so much work across the board. I mentioned it. There's first half Tabson, and then there's second half Tabson. Now, second half Tabson has definitely shown up to the server right now, and so far, so good. The distance, the difference down to just 3. And we're back to pistols once again. Now, Team Spirit managed to do a fair amount of damage in the last with mostly some Glocks. And as I was going to say previously, we haven't seen too many of those pistol success rounds that we normally get from them. There's normally a couple per map. Big have done very well to quell them thus far. And wow, a good start as well. Some Young hitting the deck. But some ground has been gathered. The fact is, though, it seems like they're more than aware of this. Xantares is going to be in position. He's currently 21 and 12, so he didn't even have the slow start this time. He has been good from start, well, until now.
Yeah, if there's been one player that could go blow for blow and neck with me, it pretty much has been Xantares over these couple of maps. Expect that some of those other pieces, like you said, Tabs in second half, should be making a pretty big go of it. And again, Searson's been a little bit overshadowed. Of course, he will be the ever-present threat. I've been very impressed with Tizian, though. I feel like Tizian has been one of those players that kind of goes under the radar quite a bit. 30 seconds left. Pistols coming down to Xantares. Only getting one. He'll be disappointed with that. He has very high expectations of himself. Probably will feel like he should have got bare minimum of 2. That does put a bit more pressure on the likes of Searson, who is stuck down in the shadow position. Keto tossing down a bit of aggression towards the B site, but Tabson again is locking it out. 12 seconds to play with. Magic's 24 HP and doesn't have control of the bomb and won't be able to save that rifle either. At least dies before the end of time, so they should be able to get something in this round. But Big have closed the gap considerably from 11-4 to 11-9.
I don't remember exactly how many kills Tabson had in the first half, but I think he may already have more in this one.
I think he had 6 in the first half, so yeah, that would be right. He's got 7 in the second half, if that's true.
It's actually bad. So taking him a few rounds to catch back up, and well, that's a start and a half. Nice shot from Dexter. Denies Searson any real aggression. Interestingly, you mentioned Tizzy, and he's going to pick up the AWP, but he's going to be exactly the same fate. T-side AWPing normally a struggle, but Dexter making it look easy, and Tabson walks backwards. 2 of your teammates have just died from that angle, and Dexter's just taken control. It's not going to be an ace for him, but damn does he win them the round. And I feel like towards the end of it, they almost made it easy for him.
Yeah, this first pick is so good from Searson, but after that point, you're thinking, like, maybe don't peek the guy that's just an absolute animal. Maybe just have a bit of respect there, Big. I know you want to put him down and break his confidence and break his spirit, but, like, damn, you just walked into a landslide of frags. Now Spirit regain their 3-round lead. Money building up a little bit. Money's a little bit tight on Big. They have to bring out the MP9 of FAMAS. And if they lose this, Spirit will be in great shape.
I almost wonder if sometime, like, I don't know what the stats would be, but like Tizian seems to have an MP9 so often, I wonder if he actually ends up having it more than a rifle. Like, the amount of sacrifices this man takes for the team is utterly ridiculous. It's giving me, like, Sticko Mouse Sports vibes, where it's like he would literally be willing to do anything to confirm the victory. And you know what? Over the last year, it's worked pretty well, so I can't critique it too much. Speaking of Searson and his AWP, he's gonna connect. I don't know how that second shot, it must have clipped the wall. You could see the bullet hole. It looked like he was clean through to take down Chopper as well, but he'll survive on his last legs. Even still, though, 45 seconds left on the clock and not really any ground gained by Team Spirit. They're going to make their way towards ramp. Sure, it is going to be Xantares there, but FAMAS, not quite his ideal weapon. That flashbang is so perfect, right into the face, but he doesn't need to see it, seems, to be able to run away.
I was going to say, he navigated his way down to ramp expertly. If he got caught on a wall, he's dead because they followed that flash up real quick. 20 seconds, though, forces him into an awkward position, but Tizian spray lets him down. Keto waits a little bit just to steady himself, but he knows there's going to be more players funneling their way through Hut. He gets a dink, but doesn't finish off Magic's on 6 HP. They have enough time for the bomb plant, which will be going down now pretty much. And Tabson making moves in alongside Xantares. It's that dynamic duo one more time. Big pick from Xantares. The white swing from Dexter, though, will silence him. And now Tabson is stepping up to the plate. Dexter off angle, and Dexter strikes once more. He's got 6 kills in the last 2 rounds, and each and every one of them has had huge amounts of impact.
I genuinely think he might be in my, like, top 5 players to watch right now. Like, sure, you've got your Simples, your Zywos, but Dexter just puts on a show. Like, again, like I've spoken about this before, but the angles he takes are so risky. They're so risky. He stands up on the boxes up high to try and just take a fight with the AWP. He misses again. He's dead. But it just seems that every time he's in those positions, he does not miss. Now, this aggressive push, he's actually going to go peeking. I'm not sure how comfortable I am with this, and actually he gets punished for it. That's an AWP down outside. Luckily, Mir will be there to pick up the pieces.
do like the Big tried at least something a little bit different, but ultimately just 2 casualties, not going to be a great deal of difference for Spirit. 14-9, at least Big have a bye. But I think it's safe to say, Tom, that we've reached that point of no return. They concede this. I think Spirit take us to that 3rd. I think we are headed across to Dust 2. At that point, I think anything's possible with Dexter in this lineup. Mia, though, gets the window of opportunity, can't quite capitalize. Somehow tabseN survives on very low HP, now finished off by Chopper, though. On top of the silo, make sure there will be no retreat. Big moment in this round, and they need the Germans. XANTARES needs his fellow teammates to dig him out of this ditch. He's got himself a little bit of ground outside. He has taken out Mia, which is significant, but can they weather this storm?
He's about to be pressured. He thrives under it. Get away with the pick, and Young has to be careful. There's been a rotation up through the vents for XANTARES to come in and support. They've rotated cyeSN over to dominate the ramp in his absence, and actually the T's are just going to completely reposition. They had lobby control for a long time, but have decided they need to try and gather up a little bit more map control. Now, an outside push here could work, but I'm interested to see what XANTARES does, because he's gone back to the lower bomb site, maybe predicting that they'll go that way. If he was to wait this out, he might actually get it spot on.
Well, time of the essence in more than one way. The timing window of opportunity for Spirit may come to a draw. It may come to a close. 15 seconds coming up. Impact needs to be felt right here, right now. Young,
a little time.
Pushing towards the site. There's the kill they're looking for, but the bomb's nowhere to be found. They're running out of time. They may even die after time as well if Keto White swings this, and he does. So Dexter gets crushed. They do have money to buy again, but Spirit, this is the same issue that we saw against Sprout. Often, they looked a little bit unsure. They were a bit too tentative, Tom.
Yeah, it seemed like the original plan was we'll go B, and then Young will stop them rotating. Then he doesn't spot anyone on A and just assumes then that the site is completely clear. And I don't know, I feel like that rotation back in the last like 10 seconds, it just didn't make sense. Like, there literally had to be no one there for them to get that bomb down. And I don't know a team in Counter-Strike that has that many players left alive and just completely abandons the A site.
Head-scratching moments that could prove to be fatal. Here you have tabseN, who really has come alive in this second half, and there's another one. 16 kills now. Tizian countered instantly, and Young making moves down in the vents. They have control over the bomb as well, which is headed towards outside, but with no smokes for the cross, they're somewhat isolated. Dexter's still watching outside with his 24 kills and 104 ADR. And cyeSN, who has been completely overpowered by Dexter, down but never fully out. They may very well need him to pick up his opposite AWPer here. Alleviate some of that pressure that is swelling. XANTARES with his secondary AWP downstairs, thinks better of his position and pulls back. But they must realize that Young is going to be somewhere around this vicinity, because they saw him get a pick earlier, and I highlighted this confrontation earlier. It goes against cyeSN. Dexter continues to body bag him, but XANTARES and tabseN are trying to get them across to an 11th round.
Once again, they've got to try and make a late round play. A Molotov will be expended, but they may even hear the footsteps. They're making so much noise. They have to have a decent idea that they're now going to be doubling back, and Keto has repositioned. He loses the battle to Dexter, though. It comes down to tabseN, and the timing looks good, but he misses his shot and doesn't expect Magics to come back around the corner. It gives a 1v2, but again, Vince, this is the man you want.
XANTARES is so good in these positions. It's a clean kill to kick things off, but he's against the man mountain himself, Dexter, who takes the grenade, chops him down to size. One bullet should seal it. Dexter may have to get aggressive to try and bypass this low HP, but XANTARES has played it to perfection. Simmers in. Delicious clutch, and Big will have an 11th round. It's at the cost of 4 players, though. That is significant within itself, but it's not like Spirit have fantastic economy either.
You have to think, like, back when those rumors came about that there was potential of this man leaving the roster. Whoever made the decision to just go, nah, let's stick it out that little bit longer. Let's try and change things up a little bit. Probably one of the best business decisions ever in Counter-Strike, because this man is unstoppable. A fantastic clutch, his 27th kill in this map. And one of the reasons that Big are clinging to life, because let's be real, that could have been done there and then. That could have been a 15th round. The bank of Big would be completely broke, and we'd be looking at a completely different scenario. Instead, he saves them once again, and just look what's on the other side. For this round at least, it's only going to be pistols and a single AK for Sunday Young.
And you just know the kind of guy that Tabson is, probably said, thank you very much for that, Xantares, because he had every chance at closing the round himself on the site. That whiff nearly cost them everything. As it stands, though, Spirit into the 1AK, trying to dart downstairs with Mia, while the rest of the team are funneling their way onto ramp. They're looking for that wraparound again. Searson, who's had a really rough nuke here, needs to have a bit of impact. Does connect the shot, but it's not the kill. He's missed one too many. He's about to get overwhelmed. He needs some support structure, and it's not forthcoming. A good flash keeps Xantares at arm's reach, and Mia is now showing his hand with the Mac 10. Spirit lead by 2 players.
Cannot be the round. It slips. The timing looked like it was going to go in Mir's favor, but you'd think he'd done enough for this round. Tizian, you almost feel like this has to be a double. He's the lone defender of this A side. The other 2 players just about starting to rotate around into Mini. The timing is going to be everything here, and Dexter just domes him, leaving Tabson again. This time, he's got a better chance. What is that shot from Magix? A Tech-9 running through. I'm getting flashbacks to the old days of the Tech-9, and while Xantares, if you win this one, we'll all have to bow down.
Spirit will have no choice. Their back would have been well and truly snapped in half if he pulls this one off. I'm not even sure he's going to go for it. I think he realizes that the situation in terms of their money is so bad that as good as he is, it's unlikely he gets this done. And if he drops the M4, they're going to have pretty much nothing to play with to save their lives. And the thing is as well, Tom, it's easy to get, if you're a big fan out there, to get disappointed with that outcome. But what can you do about Dexter instantly dry peeking with the Deagle and popping your head off, and then Magic's on the approach with the Tech-9 instantly ripping your face off at range? Like, that is almost unplayable if you're Big. They just got completely manhandled.
Yeah, I know a lot of the time it's unacceptable, but wait, let's just say it, that round was horseshit. Like, that's the only thing you could call it. Like, what do you do there for your Tabson? It didn't even stop moving. It was just an instant tap onto his head. In fact, you saw Magix actually shoot an extra couple of bullets. The man was also on low HP. Like, it made absolutely no sense. And yeah, there are no surprises in the first half, at least, that they weren't really able to do too much with openings. You saw them even fall into going for pretty audacious boosts to try and get some sort of pick, and well, it didn't quite work out for them. Maui actually made an interesting point that maybe they were trying to actually intentionally hit the wallbang so that they didn't know that they were going for something like that, which, if that's the case, huge, like, deep, big brain stuff coming out from Big, but obviously it only really works if you get the kill.
I think they only went for it twice, right? Twice that we saw, at least. Well, either way, we are potentially into the last round of proceedings on Nuke, with Dust 2 just around the corner, and Big have a FAMAS, an M4, and a Scout as primary weapons, with a bit of utility sprinkled in, but nothing at all that makes you feel confident about this round for the CTs. And the fact that Spirit have got it done with much less than this very solid purchase does not bode well. Keto, though, gets the insta drop. Oh, and a second as well with the Deagle, and a third through the smoke. And that's the bomb that goes down with it, trading across to the rifle, goes in for spray, and tags Dexter down so very low, who no-scopes Tizian, who tries to make the most of it. Now, Big, you've got the advantage. Just hold on. The bomb itself is in such a rough position, this will be so difficult for Dexter and Mir to pull off. But if there were 2 players in the server you'd want this position for Spirit, it's these 2 guys.
28 and 27 kills. I mentioned that Mir would probably have to get a 30 bomb if they're going to win this map. Well, it might take both of them at this stage. Mathematically impossible in this round, which might suggest that I'm not much of a believer here. Keto, I don't know how he's managed to make that work with the Deeg, but the fact is he's still well placed to try and deny them getting the bomb back. going to throw out a little bit of extra utility. And the fact is, there's only 15 seconds. They might even just have to look into holding on to the guns. He's got that quad, and eventually Zantares will finish things off. But it was all Keto in that round. Again, a slightly quieter performance than maybe what we're used to. But if he can keep pulling out rounds like that, I don't think anybody supporting Big are going to care.
Just individually took that round and made it bigs with a Desert Eagle. 4K with the spray through the smoke, and Zantares cleans it up. Spirit's still fine to buy, but that's a huge boost. Think of the weapons they came in with. FAMAS, Scout, M4, they made it work. It's going to be a big confidence boost on top of everything else. Tons of smokes outside. We've seen this very play multiple times. Mia single-handedly pushing outside. Dexter with the freest of frags. Tabson had no chance.
That's what I talked about earlier with the risk of that play, and they don't know. They don't know. Mir again. He just gains so much space. This 1-2 punch, it works on both sides of the map. These two players, I can't wait to see the future, because the present is already fantastic from what they brought through. Dexter, he's so aware, but he actually doesn't connect the shot. A repeat here would be such a risk, and be surprised if you go back for anything more. Tizian still trying to fight. I guess at this stage, just thinking it's over, and maybe it is, because Dexter given 3 opportunities to kill him, Vince. 3.
Yeah, that's a puzzler, isn't it? Like, the guy's on fire right now. You got an AWP against a rifle at that range. You know he's watching the angle. I don't really understand it, but yeah, maybe mentally they've already checked out, Tom. Maybe they realize, let's not expend any more energy here. Let's focus on Dust 2 instead. Keto at least gets 1. He had a phenomenal round last time, but he will not be afforded the luxury of striking twice. Dust 2 is going to be coming up in our semi-finals, and Spirit, credit to them, after letting a vast lead slip away, they've actually got it done on Nuke, Tom. I am so surprised, but also so excited to see our third map.